Thank you, Julia. It's a big pleasure for me to join you and to be the final for today, at least the final presentation. And I'm looking forward to more discussion and talks afterward. Just my organization, 2N2K, 2N2K. I'm coming from a German association whose purpose is to promote sustainability in culture and arts since about 6 years. So this is 2N2K, and tomorrow there will be a session where I'm speaking about our network, because our association is a network. What I'm talking about, Julia said, is, and I want to introduce that to you, a sustainability declaration, something very concrete I would like to introduce. I'm seeing that I'm very loud. Is it from me? So it's okay? Okay. So this sustainability declaration is part of a 3-year initiative we are able to run with money by the government. So it's always necessary to get some money to do things. I hope this works. Just to start with a question, not a long one. And we had some insights in the 2 presentations before. I took a quote by Bruno Latour, 2 languages, où atterrier, wo sind wir gelandet? So you probably have imaginations about our time, where we are now, not only climate change, but other things as well. So just as an opening question, and a simple answer, a short answer to that question. You all know the Agenda 2030, which is from 2015. Maybe you have been speaking, I came later, about Music Declares Emergency, so an initiative by actors from music, by different people and organizations, which was 2019. And since some days, we do have something new, because what I'm speaking about, culture, culture hasn't played a role a long time in sustainability politics and sustainability discussions, at least at the surface. There have been some players, of course, but not on the main field. And since some days, since the declaration from Mondiakult, the topic of sustainability has entered international cultural politics, just to say it short. So my presentation is about the sustainability declaration of the cultural sector, which is a German declaration, but which might become an international declaration, maybe. But to let you know, I'm speaking about Germany and what we are doing and facing in Germany by that. Only since about 2 or 3 years, cultural and art organizations are dealing more deeply with topics of sustainability and climate change. Before, you had to look very close to find activities in this field. And this is also true of politics. And what we want to do with this declaration, which has been published only about 2 weeks ago, to give organizations, we do have so many theaters, museums, operas, free actors, social cultural institutions. We want to give them just a foundation, just a piece to anchor sustainability in their organization. So this is a very concrete thing to help them deal with sustainability in a bland manner, to say. And so this is the purpose, to have a commitment which organizations, and it's not only cultural institutions, but also cultural administrations and associations and single cultural practitioners, to commit themselves to goals in the field of climate and sustainability. And the second thing, and somehow it's simple, but on the other hand, it's very concrete, to have a foundation, because if you want to do things in the opera, in your institution, you need a decision, or you need just an organizational foundation to do it. Otherwise, you are not authorized to do that. And this declaration, you can sign this declaration as director of the opera, and then everybody in the opera knows we are committed, and in the next years we want to go steps in this direction. And just to give you a small insight how it came to that declaration, we didn't just copy 3 sentences and publish them. There is a process behind of about 6 or 7 months, where we did research, national and international research, what is there, where we had group discussions. In our initiatives, there are 2 other associations we are working with, the Öko-Institut and the Kulturpolitische Gesellschaft. And we had pilot partners who worked with a pilot declaration, with a first draft declaration. And then we had a council discussing about it. And as I said, 2 weeks ago, then we published it after a long process. And we got more than 40 first signatories who were convinced, yes, we need that to go steps ahead. And I will be quite short, maybe to have some time to speak about it, but of course you should know what is inside, how can you, how does it look like, the declaration. We do have a paper, of course, and first I can show you that. And what I'm telling, there are principles on the middle side, and then there are guiding objectives, and then you can sign the declarations. The 5 principles. In German and in English, we just got the translation some days ago. And of course, we can't go through every sentence now, but you can read these principles. And what is important, because during the last 2 years, we are talking a lot about CO2 emissions and decreasing CO2 emissions. The topic of sustainability, when we speak about it in a cultural sense, it's much broader than that. And this is why we took as a first principle to acknowledge the part of all cultures and all civilizations in sustainable development, and all cultures are able to enable sustainability. And it's not only about ecological things, but cultural diversity is as important as the ecological thing. Well, to come to the second side, of course, knowledge and skills are important. Education, cultural education is an important thing. And well, without peace and without a kind of global citizenship, this will not be possible. And just where did we take these sentences off? I said we did research with many declarations nationally and internationally, and of course we had a close look to the Agenda 2030. There is no cultural goal, but you find cultural sentences which we adapted to this declaration. And fifth, of course, the institutions have to set sustainability goals and well, to work with standards just like enterprises or other organizations do. These are the principles, and then we do have 5 guiding objectives. These objectives don't say don't name numbers, just like the next 5 years we want to reduce CO2 emissions by X%, but they are guiding objectives, and every institution should be able to work out own goals and objectives, because the declaration is, as I said, for big and small institutions, for single actors, for theaters, and for festivals where the conditions are very different. So that's why we put out general guiding objectives, and as you see in the headings, they are near to some of the SDGs. We found out that 5 SDGs from the UN Agenda 2030 are crucial for culture. Of course, all 17 SDGs are important, but 5 are very near to culture, and maybe first to be looked at, as we all are not able to do 17 things at the same time. So we took out 5 areas, and you see them. And maybe I just read the first sentence, because you see there it's not very concrete. What does culture do? And maybe Valentina, you showed us some things. Culture is, on the one hand, critical, is very creative, reflective, and what we do need very much is spaces, open spaces, just to reflect, even reflect the technical way of sustainability, which we had for 20 or 25 years. So this is very important in your community and maybe in society in total, just to be a critical and reflective sustainability actor. And well, just to you have read that, education, to combine cultural education and education for sustainability. Cultural education has a different perspective than education for sustainability, and there might be a very interesting combination. And of course, it's about production and consumption, and institutions should adopt a sustainability strategy, should take actions and targets. That's a very concrete thing. And then we have climate protection, of course, as a main guiding objectives. And finally, of course, every institution, we are not alone. We should act in partnerships, even in international partnerships. And often we don't look at this international dimension of sustainability. So if a theater, if a festival, of course there are international guests and musicians, but it is an international dimension, and we should work together in this sense. So this is what the declaration is about. And just to give you an insight, I don't want to speak about names, but I took the map as I said, it's a declaration for Germany, and we try to address different cultural institutions in Germany, and the response is that a lot of people, a lot of institutions are glad to use such a declaration. And maybe, as I said, we could use it in Europe or even internationally, because there is no such thing so far for all the cultural sector. We do have special declarations, position papers for music, for theaters, but not for cultural in total. So for questions or for the discussion, we might speak about this point. Is this a thing we could use nationally, internationally? And to give you a term, sustainable cultures, Nachhaltigkeitskultur, we should start getting a cultural perspective on sustainability, and maybe founding sustainability culture in our societies. So this might be the discussion: can we use such a declaration as foundation for future sustainable cultures? So I think that's it. Our initiative, Culture for Climate, it's our website, and I'm here just for question. And now I'm glad to get some questions from you. One micro.
Thank you very much. That's extremely helpful and enlightening, and it's a great initiative. I'm just wondering, so people, is there any kind of vetting? How do you make sure that organizations just don't sign it for the sake of signing and saying, you know, okay, we're sustainable now? And the other thing is there any kind of benchmarking that you can do? Or, I mean, how does that actually then play into action? And do you also somehow follow up on what people have committed to?
So I'm working at the Berliner Festspiele, and we have the EMAS certification. So this is definitely a certification. You are approved every year, and you can go step by step, but there is a real, how to say that, control. And we have to go to this control every year. So this is the same point, I think. So I only wanted to add. And what is the difference to the EMAS, for example?
Yeah. Thank you for these important questions, and we are used to these questions from our process. I can combine, of course, this can be combined. Just to reflect it, first point is, we don't want to be a government or a controlling organization just expecting special things to be done. We come from the enabling side. So culture is creative and should use the cultural side and the cultural possibilities. And we are not, with the declaration, a controlling scheme, but an enabling scheme. So this is our main attitude. And the second thing is, it's not outside communication first, but communication into organizations, and just to set own goals and to walk the talk, as we say. And so this is the main thing. But of course, we want to see steps. So we will offer a kind of communication scheme, not a reporting scheme. This would be too narrow, but a kind of communication scheme, so that participatories can communicate after a year what has been done and maybe what not has been done. And well, coming to EMAS, I'm very familiar for many years with environmental management systems, and EMAS is one of the systems which is very common with industry, of course, and some cultural institutions have been pioneers in this sense, and the KBB is a pioneer. And this is just one part of the big sustainability field. And when you sign the declaration, and I can go back to one of the guiding objectives, you can take steps. Where is it? Four is it? And then we do have 3. Then you take steps, and maybe you take the decision to take part in EMAS, but when you're very small stage, very small institution, this will not be the right thing to do. You can't pay EMAS, and maybe it doesn't make sense for anybody just to show the EMAS sign at your small stage or at your festival. So there's a big variety of possibilities to control and to manage things. And I'm also sure that some things which have been developed for industry purposes can be adapted, but maybe we even need new things for the cultural sector, and even not with this controlling thing. We know culture doesn't have the biggest footprint, and we should address the positive side, the positive impact, at least as much as to reduce the negative impact. But of course, we have to match it. Otherwise, we are not glaubhaft, not how do we say? Yeah. So this is part of the answer.
Could you give some example for the point 4? What does it mean? Just a short example.
Many organizations started with lightning, so to exchange lightning. Then you can look at energy supply, at energy efficiency. So these are the near fields to do. Then we have this is very known, the mobility side. Just how can we change mobility by visitors and by guests, and then in the program planning, it's about which exhibition do I do. The Hamburger Bahnhof just has a very interesting exhibition, or just the opera thing we heard, which enables consciousness, or just to reflect things, and not a direct effect, but a conscious and a mindset effect. And I do have some copies of the declaration, which is only in German, and also a flyer by our initiative. And well, that's if you like, you can have some copies of that. Are there more questions, or?
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to hear that the declaration exists. I'm just wondering now, what would be your ideal, let's say, progress of the declaration? Is the aim that as many spaces, institutions, whatever big, small scale, just sign it and try to do their best at what they committed to? Or is the idea maybe, or also to implement it even in bigger context? So maybe you can say a little bit more about the practical future side you wish for, and what we can do for that.
Of course, since 2 years, we do have very interesting movement, just like you're doing here at Berlin or some museums. But of course, we need more. And beyond speaking and beyond, well, meetings like these, of course, we want to see activities, reflections by many people, and for us, it's a creative process. So just to have it as part of cultural reflection, of cultural activities, artist activities, and with our initiatives, we help in this way. So on the one hand, we have a qualification program, single modules just to take part in. We, by the Öko Institute, we do workshops, and we work also with numbers and figures and to find out about energy consumption and things like that, and to adapt measures. So there will be a climate tool, which is not climate balance, but you get recommendations which activities to do. And another thing, I can't tell you all of them, is coaching for money, for support money, because the big measurements take resources, need resources, and take longer time, and we help to get support for that, for example. A last thing, of course, when we can show such a map which is growing, this has also a political impact, we hope. The political field is growing, even in Germany and with the BKM, and even with the climate, the economic and the climate ministry. When they see there is a lot of necessity, a lot of institutions which want to get ahead, they have to react and they have to give them money, otherwise we can't get ahead. And as I showed at the beginning, the political framing gets structure, and we are coming ahead since 2 years. So this is a very good sign. Well, we are done. Everybody longing for a drink or?